All right. Well, it's 11:03. We do have a few people I'm watching sign in, so I will be allowing people inside the room as they come in. But so wonderful to have everyone joining us today. I am absolutely thrilled to be spending this 1 hour with all of you, as well as my dear friend and also a client, Miss Hope Gonzalez, Mrs. Hope Gonzalez. Please let us know, who are you, Hope? Where did you come from? Tell us a little bit about your background.
So I have been in the health and fitness industry and business for about 13 years now. This was my first job ever. I was the front desk girl at a Gold's Gym. And ever since then, I have literally not left this industry at all. I have done everything over the years from work in gyms. I have opened gyms. I've been the general manager of gyms. I have worked for supplement companies. I've managed professional athletes. I have obviously competed myself and have taken a very strong liking to personal training and coaching, but all of that came from just being in the industry and working in different aspects of the overall health and fitness industry. I have also worked for the NPC and IFBB at competitions actually around the world, and that was an amazing opportunity as well. So I've kind of touched on a little bit of every aspect of this industry. So when I say that, I mean, this is what my life has been about, it really has. There's been absolutely no lapse in time within the last 13 years that I have not worked in some aspect of the fitness industry. And I would say about 99% of the time, I have been working basically two jobs or two avenues within the industry. And it was about 8 years ago that I actually started my own business and became an entrepreneur. And we'll dive into that in a little bit. But as most of you guys know, I also became a mom for the first time a year ago. My daughter just turned one just a month ago. And actually, this upcoming weekend is my wedding anniversary. And me and my husband have been together and married for 4 years now. So that's just kind of the baseline. Obviously, I'll kind of dive into a few little aspects of that as we kind of progress today and we start discussing different things. But that's a little bit about my background in the different hats that I wear on a daily basis.
You are a busy mom, and I cannot even imagine how you are juggling all those things. And that's why I'm so excited to hear from you, actually, and learn from you how you're doing this. Because the whole point of really me wanting to have this conversation with you was, how do you do all of this while being a successful businesswoman? And being able to manage your time and still work on your body transformation the way you did and achieve this incredible success. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Lenka Brady, and I have a degree in education. I grew up in the Czech Republic, and when I came into this country, I was just this girl with one suitcase and $250 in my pocket, and I was just trying to figure out what to do with my life. I wanted to continue study English and go back home and teach as a university professor, but my life took a little bit different direction. I met my now ex-husband back then and totally madly fell in love. And I called my parents and I said, I'm not going home. I'm staying here. And I started basically building my career here. And 22 years ago, I got a job as flight attendant with JetBlue Airways. And then in 2000, I joined their corporate office and I became a manager of flight attendant training. And for 10 years, I was basically learning what it's like to be one of the leaders of a startup company where I was responsible for hiring, managing, leading a huge budget, marketing, even initiative, strategy planning. So I had an incredible opportunity to basically learn on the job what it's like to be part of a startup company. And back then, JetBlue was a startup company, and we had some of the best people in the industry, part of our team. We still do, but I was able to watch and see some of the best practices in any industry per se. And so today, as I left corporate and I decided to go and do things on my own because that is my passion, I am an entrepreneur. I didn't know that growing up, but I figured that out later when I just wanted to do more, and I felt it in here. I really wanted to do more for people. It was this desire to watch others, to maybe accomplish some of the things that I was able to accomplish in my life. You know, like I said, being an immigrant to becoming a businesswoman. Today, what I do is really what I've been practicing for the last 12 years. I teach people how to create an infrastructure and a foundation of a business, and then what to do to take that business to the next level. Let's chat with Hope. And Hope, I'm going to give you the floor again. When did you know that you wanted to become a businesswoman? When you wanted to become an entrepreneur? What was it like? Oh, do you remember that day? What was that pivotal moment in your life?
Oh, I do. So I, much like you actually hit the nail on the head when you said you knew you always wanted more. And from a very young age, I always wanted more. I wanted in any job or position I held, I wanted to progress. I wanted to perform. I wanted to do better. I never wanted to stay in the position that I was in. And I looked for companies and opportunities and within the gyms and supplement companies to be able to progress. And I remember the day to a T. I knew I had that feeling, but I didn't know really what it meant. And I was training a client. He was an attorney. He was a small business attorney or something of that nature. And he literally asked me, he's like, why are you not doing this for yourself? He's like, you're doing this, you're doing that. Why don't you have a own business? And why aren't you doing this for yourself? And I was very young at the time. I was about 23 years old. And I had never really thought about like doing this for myself and in being a business owner. I knew I always wanted more, but I couldn't ever figure out what that more was.
Yeah.
And it is all thanks to this former client of mine, really kind of putting that out there and even presenting that as an opportunity to me, and honestly seeing the potential in me. He was a much older gentleman. I mean, he must have been, at the time, he must have been 60. I think he was kind of looking at me as his kid. I mean, at the time I was 23. I think he was like 60, had been an attorney his whole life.
Yeah.
And I mean, he was really kind of giving me like kind of that fatherly advice.
That's awesome.
And
yeah.
I mean, he literally, like for lack of better terms, I mean, he held my hand. He walked me through the process of starting my LLC, which I didn't even know what an LLC was. I mean, nothing. And it was all because of him and seeing that potential in me, that I actually did honestly just take it and run with it. You know, somebody gave me an opportunity, they cracked open that door, and I mean, I kicked that door down and I ran it. And I am forever thankful that somebody did that for me. And I can honestly say, and it makes me very happy to say, that since then I have actually helped 7 other women start small businesses and start their own LLC, because I know what that individual did for me. And I've helped my friends start their own photography businesses, start their own nail salons, and a couple of other different things, because sometimes you just need that little bit of a push. And honestly, for me, there was a lot of I guess maybe just being a little bit naive to, like, I don't know how to start a business. It was never something that was around me when I was younger. So it was that day we were in the gym. I was in the middle of a training session with him. And I mean, he just was like, there's no reason why you shouldn't be doing this.
Absolutely. So he saw the potential in you. And you know what? You clearly were open to it. I always say that to everyone. It's like what you give is what you get. So when you put that energy out there, and when people get to see the goodness in you and the talent, they will only see it because you're open to it, because you have that energy that invites them in. And so it's the mindset. It all goes back to the mindset, and we will touch on it, where if in your head, if you are open and looking for opportunities, your body will project that energy. You will do things and you will talk in a way that will catch someone else's ear, and they will come to you and they will provide that helpful hand, support, assistance, because they will be able to see it in you. And that's what when I met you at Starbucks, I go back to that. I knew that you were a go-getter. I knew it, that you were no BS, and you were there to do business. You were ready. Yeah, I mean, lots of people that talk about doing a lot of things, right? And they have dreams and it's beautiful, but you can tell the difference between someone just talking and maybe just talking themselves through it and that hesitation, versus someone like you, that go-getter attitude is like, I am ready. I am absolutely ready. So I knew that I was like, ooh, okay, this girl has power. She is ready to get things done. And we worked on a bunch of little product projects together and one big one, and you can share that later on. So this is absolutely true. And that gentleman that you're describing, your mentor basically, right, became your biggest supporter at the very beginning. So that's absolutely incredible. And I'm really a great thank you for sharing that. Now, did you learn something? So when you knew you wanted to start business, so we all go into this like thinking this is going to be amazing and I'm going to be great. What was it like when you actually started? Was there a little bit of a difference between what you thought it would look like and the reality of it, or was it exactly what you expected it to be?
So just being very honest, I had zero expectations, to be honest,
Okay.
for the reason that that thought had never crossed my mind. I
Mhm.
was never previously really exposed to any entrepreneurs around me. So I
Mhm.
really had no expectations. All I knew was that I was driven and I wanted to be successful. And
Mhm.
what the definition of successful was, almost 8 years ago now, when this all started, I had no idea. But I knew that whatever that was, I knew I had an opportunity. I knew that I could make something of it. But as far
Mhm.
as any expectations versus reality, I'll be honest, I didn't have any, because that wasn't really the mindset that I was going for. But in anything that I do, I want to be the best, not because I think that, oh, I'm the only good coach or trainer or anything out there, but I want to be the best that I know that I can be and put forth all of my effort and really make sure that I am genuinely and wholeheartedly applying myself. So I started to do research. I did start to kind of ask little questions here and there with
Yeah.
friends, and I'm very thankful that our mutual friend who introduced us,
Mhm.
she was a very big driving force in me starting in growing my business, because she really saw a lot of potential in me and was
Mhm.
able to give me very good advice and just give me that reassurance that I could do it and that I was moving in the right direction, and to not be so scared about making those big decisions or those hard decisions,
Yeah.
because when you do decide to start your own business and work on growing it, there's a lot of sacrifices that you have to make, and it's
Mhm.
very, very scary. It is very, very scary,
Mhm.
especially if you do genuinely want your business to be your sole source of income and grow it from there. And I'm there very thankful that she just told me, like, you can do this.
Yeah.
And that was very nice to hear, without ever telling me you have to do this, you have to do that, anything like that. Just, you got this, like, one day at a time, keep
Yeah.
chugging away at it. trial and error things. You're
Mhm.
going to make mistakes. I've made 101 of them and I've learned. And that's another reason why I like to share my experience, because I think with social media these days and having YouTube and things like that, I think that people aren't maybe 100% understanding the reality of being a small business owner and what you have to give up and the sacrifices that you make
Yeah.
and the financial
Yeah.
cost behind starting a business and things like that. So coming full circle, I didn't have expectations, but the reality of it was that, I knew it was going to be hard, it was going to be difficult, and I just basically had to take it one step at a time. And
At a
that's
time.
what I did.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's, I'm writing little notes over here about the sacrifices and mistakes are opportunities. And those are some incredibly valuable lessons that we will talk in just a little bit. But I'm glad you were touching on that, because it's not a walk in the park, right? But it could be if you are ready for it, if you are prepared. Um, if you are prepared for the unexpected, if you have the resources, if you have the support system, like you're mentioning, if you have the people around you that'll hold your hand. And sometimes all it is, you hearing, you got this, right? That's all it takes. You got this. Go to sleep, wake up in the morning, fresh head, fresh mind, fresh brain, and tackle what's in front of you. You got this. And I love, love, love that you were touching on that, because again, going back to the mindset, it's all about the mindset. When it comes to the aesthetics, you had mentioned you've been doing this for 8 years ago and you're very driven and successful. And we all know that, we can see that, and I can feel it even now, right? Was your company the same company 8 years ago when you started? Did you have to adapt and did you have to change things a little bit, and especially during COVID? Or would you touch on that a little bit, what you did with your company 8 years ago versus today?
Absolutely. So 8 years ago when it started, it was nothing like it is today. Absolutely nothing. It has evolved many, many times to get to where I am today. Honestly, 8 years ago, I was coaching a lot more competitors. The fitness industry was very different. I mainly had local clients, as opposed to now I work with clients worldwide. How I offered my services was different. The structure in which I coordinate and lay out my programs was completely different. I mean, honestly, every aspect of it was different, from how I handled my accounting to how I handled my scheduling. Everything was different. Everything has evolved as my business has evolved. Especially too during COVID, I think we all had to make very quick changes, and my business had to make those changes as well. So I needed to come up with ways to keep my clients engaged. I had to find ways to continue offering online services, but still giving that personal aspect, because that's what everybody was looking for, especially at that time. And then even since COVID, since things have gone back to normal, things have still continued to progress and evolve as far as the different programs that I offer, the app that me and you have created, which my clients know about that because they're all members of my app. And even that is progressing and evolving on, a daily basis as well.
Yeah.
So what my company was 8 years ago is absolutely nothing like what it is today. And I'm super thankful for that. I have definitely made some mistakes. I've definitely tried things that just didn't work and didn't catch. I thought that they were good ideas, but they just didn't catch. Not a big deal. No harm, no foul. You really have to have a tough skin and be very, very open-minded to your business evolving and adapting to what it is people are needing from me. How are people's health and fitness goals changing? How, I have to adapt to things that are changing as far as, what is being put out there as far as nutritional content and training regimens and things like that, and make sure that I stay true to what I believe is my foundation. while still adapting to what is needed by not the general population, by competitors, and honestly, everything in between.
Absolutely, absolutely. And great point on being adaptable and open-minded. I love hearing that word because we all have ideas and opinions and how we run our business and our vision of what our business should look like, right? But where I see some people losing the touch is it's one thing to think what we believe our business should be. But then when you go and talk to others and get feedback and talk to everyone around you, they may tell you that what you think is actually going to work doesn't make any sense and or is not relevant and or is not needed. And it takes that tough skin you were talking about to take that feedback as feedback. It's not criticism, right? It's simply feedback that you can adapt. And if you do, and if you tweak your business accordingly based on what people are telling you, it's actually a really good thing. It's an amazing, amazing thing when people do give you feedback. Because sometimes, even if they're maybe not nice about it, what they're still sharing with you, there's something in your business that needs tweaking. And if you take that and look at it positively, and again, that mindset, right? Spin it in a positive way and tweak it so that it actually does make sense, even for those that just want to complain. You're still making your business better. You're still giving people more options and more things and being more relatable. And that's not an easy trait to have because we do take things personally as business owners, right? Because it's a baby. We spend hours and hours and hours of work building something and we put it out there, we launch it and people give you negative feedback and it's crushing. It's absolutely crushing. But if you look at it as thank you, large corporations have to pay other companies to get feedback. They have to send surveys out there, put surveys out there to get feedback, and they have to pay for it. So look at it, it's like it's free feedback that now I can take and look at and say, if it's not applicable, if it's really something just like fluff, throw it away. But if you notice a pattern, if you're getting feedback, right? And if it's a pattern, that it's something valuable and something to be really, really worth looking at and adapting into perhaps your processes or the way you're communicating or the way your product is set up, the way you market your product, and you name it, all of the above. So really great lessons there. I really would love to chat a little bit about clarity. A lot of the times, you've mentioned that your business is nothing what it used to be before, that obviously you had to adapt many times. You went through COVID. But at the very, very, very beginning, were you always clear about what type of business you would like to launch?
I did. So I definitely had to, once I realized like, okay, I can do this, things are progressing. I was very, very fortunate that once I started my business, things really took off very quickly. And I'm extremely thankful for that. And I was definitely working to make sure that I kept up me as the supplier in the demand that was coming to me as far as the clients go. And I mean, I would spend endless hours every single week. What can I do to be better? What can I do to project a better image? What can I do to make my programs better in general and get my clients the results that they're looking for? Because my clients' transformations are what fuel my business, right? So making sure that I'm giving them the time, the energy, the attention that they need to realize that they can do this, because that's what's going to continue fueling my business. So there was definitely endless hours spent, and there's still to this day endless hours spent in making sure and looking over the look of my brand as well. And am I portraying the image that I am going for? Am I getting the feedback based off this image that I'm going for, that I'm wanting? And there's plenty of trial and error. There has been, there will be, and I've grown to be perfectly okay with that. I've launched different ad campaigns that have been extremely successful and ones that have just completely tanked.
Yeah, we all have.
And you have to be okay with that. And I've definitely learned that, you have to be okay with trying something once or twice. If it fails once, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's not a good product or service. It just means that maybe it wasn't the right time. You
Yeah.
maybe sometimes just have to simply change the look of it so that way it's a little bit more eye-catching and things like that. But I mean, as far as to be clear about where I saw the business, where I wanted it to go, and where I want it, I have a very clear vision now. And I'm going to be completely honest with you. You helped me really kind of hone in on my scattered vision and really kind of help bring and piece it together into something a little bit more tight knit. So that way I could portray a much stronger image when I'm either out in person or by my social media or just by the programs that my clients receive, because I had a pretty broad spectrum. I would say I was about here. You helped me hone it in here, and then it kind of keeps getting smaller and smaller to the point that I feel like I can have a stronger presence when
Yeah.
I am trying to portray that. But it took the right person to help me kind of bring that in together. But it's always going to be changing. It's always going to be evolving. And honestly, if you ask me, that's the beautiful thing about owning your own business is, we see big businesses and big corporations, even as a company like Coca-Cola has rebranded and changed
Yeah.
this because things change. And if you're not
Yeah.
willing to adapt, then you might as well not be a business owner because you have to be
Absolutely.
willing to adapt.
Comment to that. Absolutely. Yeah. And thank you for your kind words. I appreciate it. We talked about COVID, and I remember during COVID, we all had to put everything at a pause. Every single one of us, every single business owners, to figure out what's next
Yeah.
and what do we need to change about our business to be able to survive. And a lot of businesses didn't. And a lot of new businesses were born, and a lot of businesses just propelled because they had that, flexibility, ability to change, ability to see things differently, but also the financial resources. What was COVID like for you and your brand?
So it definitely had its ups and downs. I knew that, and I've learned, and thankfully, being in business for years before COVID, it did teach me how to manage my business funds better. And it did help me in the situation that we were in when COVID hit. I was much more mindful when it came to financial decisions that I was making. But at the end of the day, when you are a business owner, you really have to have that faith and you really have to take those risks to be able to grow. And I knew that with the situation that we were all put in with COVID, that, a lot of people weren't taking those risks. And I kind of wanted to use that as an opportunity to honestly do better and be better than other businesses because I was still willing to take those risks. And my husband has always been extremely supportive with the decisions that I make. We're in business together,
Yeah.
and he trusts me because of the years of experience that I had. And I told him, hey, I know this is, an extra expenditure, especially in a time like this, but I know it can benefit us and I know it can pay off. And a lot of the things did. And I'm very thankful that I was strong enough to make those kind of hard decisions, because it can be very scary when you have to make big financial decisions for your business. But, you just be very strategic in what you do, and you make sure that, you're going to stand behind those decisions that you make 100% and push them through. And you can't really half-ass anything.
Yeah.
Really have to
Yeah.
make sure that once you make those hard decisions, especially financial commitments and decisions, that you stand by them. And most of the time they are going to pay off, to be honest with you.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And that's when we build your app, right? And that was an investment. It was
It
an
was.
investment. And even for me, helping you see the value in it was very important to make sure that it is a decision that will benefit your business. And it's not just something that's going to benefit me in the short term. It's a decision, and the way the app was set up, would be a long-term solution, like you were saying, right? And then commit to it and power through it. And we did have to make some adjustments, and we had to make some tweaks to actually make this tool work properly. And it was not as effective initially, I remember, and we had to go back to a drawing board and make those tweaks. But we were both committed, and neither one of us wanted to give up on it. And that's, again, going back to the mindset, strategic planning, and knowing, having clear vision. It's the clarity in understanding and knowing where you want to take your business, right? Understanding your audience, their needs and wants, because your purpose is to serve them. You are in business of service. And so this tool we were developing was going to help you overcome whatever COVID was throwing at us. And certainly for me, help you get there. So it was a very good partnership, kind of two-way street right there. But yeah, we were sweating a little bit, right? I was scratching my head at home. I was like, okay, what are we going to do over here? So it was a really, really good partnership for me, because like I said from the beginning, I knew you were determined, and your goal was to get things done. And that was half the battle for me. Then the second half was to figure out how to get you there and what I needed to do on my end. So absolutely. And financial stuff, being an entrepreneur, you kind of have to know that you will probably have some really good days, weeks, months, years, and then sometimes you hit your lowest. So always think about the rainy days ahead and have some cash reserves, and or then decide to make those tough decisions. If things are not working well, then even though it's your baby and it's something that you've created and something you've been working on for so long, maybe it's time to put that baby aside and start a new baby.
Yep.
And figure out a different way of maybe put your passion out there. And that's a really, really difficult decision to make, but it's an amazing trait of an entrepreneur, that not every project, not every decision will pay out. But if you're able to sit down and think about it and make a decision, it's like, okay, this didn't work out the way I wanted to on small scale, big scale. I'm going to stop this right now and not bleed cash, and instead do things a bit differently, right? And always save your cash flow, and then follow whatever new path you put in front of you. So, and I was watching you do that. You and Tony were doing that quite a bit during COVID. So again, I was learning from you. And it was always that jug of water. It's like, I got this, girl, I got this. Girl, I got this. That's the signature line. Girl, I got this. Wonderful. The your industry is very unique, and that's something that I actually struggle with myself, body image. What helped you to understand as you were building your business that, yes, there are other people out there that are doing the same thing. There are other people that may be more successful than you are. There are people that look better, feel better, have better ideas, maybe. But Hope Gonzalez, I'm going to kick butt. I am going to do an incredible job, and I'm going to be the best, because I don't care about them. My brand and the way I deliver my brand is all about me and who I am. It's going to come from my heart, my experience, the way I deliver my brand. What was it like for you? Can you share a little bit of that? Because your industry is tough and there's a lot of competition out there. So how do you deal with that on a daily basis?
One thing I learned from the very beginning, especially being a competitor, is you're always going to be competing against somebody. And that's fine. You have to accept that. A big thing for me is there's very much a fine line between being confident and being cocky, right? In anything.
Yeah.
And, something I had to learn from a very young age is you have to be confident in yourself. That doesn't mean being cocky by any means, but have confidence in what you are doing on a daily basis, right? So as a competitor, it taught me a lot that once I step on stage, whether I win or lose, you have to be confident, because you have to know that your entire preparing for that one moment up on stage, you did everything that you were supposed to do. That gives you confidence. So I took what I learned as a competitor making sure that I did everything that I was supposed to do. I couldn't control who I was competing against on show day. I can't control who I'm competing against in my industry. However, what I can control is every single day doing what I need to do to be the best that I can be. Beautiful. Right? Mm-hmm. And as a competitor, if I did my cardio, I ate my food, I did my workouts, I did this, I did that, then up on stage, that would give me the confidence that I need to show that I should be the one winning. Yeah. And the same thing in life and in business. If every day I'm continuing to work out to make sure that I'm representing myself and I feel good in my own skin, and making sure that I do everything that my clients need from me, making sure that I do everything on the back end that I need to do for my business, that builds the confidence to be able to show that, okay, am I the best? No, but who knows? I don't know. Do I think that I'm great? Yeah, of course I do. But you have to have that little bit of confidence, right? Yeah. And I think sometimes people are a little bit, I don't know, maybe leery of having that confidence. I'm not saying I'm the best coach or trainer out there. I don't know who the best coach or trainer out there is. I have confidence that with my 13 years of experience, having the experiences that I've had, good, bad, and in between, it gives me the confidence to be able to help a very diverse spectrum of individuals. And I think that, you know, comparing myself to other coaches or trainers or businesses, what is that really going to do for me at the end of the day? You know, this coach or this team, they might offer something a little bit different than I do. That doesn't make them better. That just makes them different, and they're offering something different. You know what I mean? Absolutely. So a lot of it is, you know, again, that fine line between, you know, not being cocky by any means, because that doesn't get you anywhere, but just be confident in what it is that you're doing and you're working towards, and in yourself. Because if you don't have that confidence in yourself, you know, how are people supposed to have confidence in you to get Absolutely. Them, you know, to where they need to be?
Absolutely. And that's so well said. And, you know, the next ties right into the next bullet point or star, staying true to yourself and your values. I often talk about this particular topic with my clients, and they're, you know, talking to me, sharing their fear about not being the best, and the fear of being able to make a sale, fear of what if, you know, the book of what ifs is so long. And my answer is always the same. You will connect with the people that share the same values. You will connect with the people that find you, and the way you deliver the information, the way you conduct yourself as basically, it's going to be relevant to them. It's almost going to mirror their own actions and lifestyle and values. So no matter how many coaches, no matter how many entrepreneurs are out there, there is that many of us, you know, the population that needs those services, that will select that coach that they can resonate with the most, that they relate to the most. It doesn't matter what experience, what products they have to offer. I relate to you, your energy. And that's so incredibly important, staying true to yourself, that confidence. And confidence attracts confidence. And I've said it before, what you put out there is what you get back. If it's that energy that'll drive you in. As consumers, we choose people based on values, energy, confidence. It's like, oh, I love her. I love the way she talks. I love the way she carries herself. I love the way, you know, she's explaining her products. It's not necessarily the first way. Wow, look at her muscles. Holy cow, look at that butt. Whoa, look at that, those eyelashes. That's the second thing. That's the tier number 2. The tier number 1 is always that personal side of you, who you are as a coach, the business, and so on and so forth. So it's so important to be yourself, because if you try to be someone else, you fail. You can't. It doesn't work like that. So very, very, very true. You had mentioned your husband.
Yes.
And how he was there for you, and kind of his supporter even during COVID, and you had vision, you were clear about what you wanted to do, and he kind of supported you tell us a little bit more about your support system. What, especially now being a mom, how do you do this? How
I
do you juggle all those things?
I mean, he couldn't pay me enough money to say this. He really is my biggest support system. And being able to juggle our business, being a mom, being an athlete, being a wife, and then even still needing time for me, honestly, it's not possible without a solid support system at home, because I've been through situations in life, we will just say, where I did not have a solid support system at home. But
Mm,
with my husband, he's extremely supportive of different ideas when it comes to the business and trying new things. And he's not afraid to work and to hustle with me, which is amazing. He definitely matches my energy when it comes to our vision of the business, which is huge. And that's why, I feel that, is our business where it needs to be or where it could be? No, not yet. We're still definitely working on it. But that's why it's been able to grow, is because I have him and we're working together on it. He supports me. And when I need time to go to the gym, you know what I mean? To be able to have the body that I need for our business. And
yeah,
if I need to, spend time on me and go get my nails done or whatever, you need to have that positive support system at home to be able to
yeah,
to juggle everything and wear multiple hats, and making sure that you have the right friends and family around you who support you and who understand what it is that you're trying to do. And
yeah,
I think we've all seen on social media the little graphic or meme or whatever where it's talking about how true friends don't ask you for discounts and things like that. And it's the people around you who are genuinely trying to support you in your business and your vision, who
yeah,
are willing to be a part of your journey, and who are not asking you for discounts. And that's what a true support system
yeah,
really is, if you ask me, especially with my experience and a lot of people kind of circling around and trying to get free coaching from me and this and that. And I mean, those are not the people that are supporting you. Real supporters are all in, if you ask me.
yeah, absolutely, 100%. And my life in a same similar fashion would not have been what it is today if I didn't even have like the home support of my parents way back when I said I'm not coming home. And I was only 20. And way back when, was it 28 years ago? My goodness, 28 years ago. You're like, are you sure that's what you want to do? And I said, yeah, I have to. I have to see what's out here. I'm not done with the United States of America. There's so much more that I want to explore. And they allowed me to. And I think they also allowed me in that. And I think that's your case as well. They allowed me to find myself and perhaps even make those mistakes, which I call learning opportunities, so that I would never look back and regret that I didn't do something in life that could put me in a better position. That one day when I'm 75 in a rocking chair, I have that vision. I can look back on my life and say, I did it all. I feel good. And that's what support system does for you. It's not just lifting you up, but it's also allowing you, supporting you through perhaps making those missteps and not holding those grudges, right? And not holding those against you. And instead being like, I'm glad you went through this. I'm glad you got to experience it, the good and the bad, because now you know. And now you can channel your decisions differently. And that's incredibly important as well. So that's great. Hope, I've loved always your positive mindset. And I think I love you and adore you so much just because of the person you are. Do you coach your clients through, the body image issues that I have personally, and I've shared with some of those with you? You become what you think, right? So in my head, I have certain images or certain words in my head about my body and my body issues. How do you coach your clients? And you can put it in a business perspective about staying positive and believe in yourself and believing you can do it and be the best you can be.
Always. So one of the biggest things is everybody is going to have their day. Everybody is going to have their moment, right? It's not so much about not having those feelings or those thoughts or those moments, but it's about, okay, I'm feeling a little down on myself. I haven't been progressing as fast as I want to. Whatever the situation might be, have those thoughts, have those feelings, go through the emotions, right? Don't just try to sweep it under the rug. However, don't dwell on those types of things.
Mhm.
That's going to be the biggest thing is, I do not wake up every day extremely happy with what I see in the mirror. Absolutely not. Nobody does. I have my thoughts, I have my moments. Of course, I tell my husband, I look this way, I look that way, blah, 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 whatever. But then guess what? I have my moment, I get it all out. And then I get my butt to the gym and I make sure that I'm working on bettering those things that I'm unhappy with. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So a lot of the times, I think one of the biggest pieces of it, of advice that I give to not only my female clients, but my male clients as well, is have those moments, have those feelings. You're going to have them. I'm not going to tell anybody, oh, don't feel that way, because we're human. We're going to have
Yeah.
those thoughts and feelings. We're going to have our bad days. We're going to get frustrated because we're not progressing at the rate that we think that we should be, or whatever the situation is. This is not a sprint. This is a marathon. And you have to have that mindset that it is okay for you to have those days and have those emotions, but don't get caught up in it,
Yeah.
right? Don't let it drag out for weeks and
Yeah.
weeks and weeks. Do what you need to do to get past that, so that way you're having less and less of those days and those thoughts, because the more you chip away at it, the
Yeah.
less you're going to have those. But you got to go through, that little rough patch of kind of getting things going, right? And it's
Yeah.
hard, but we all have those days, especially too, like when after I had my daughter, and you have to wait 6 weeks before you can go work out or anything like that. And I just remember looking at my body, and I was so extremely happy with the fact that I was able to have a healthy baby girl. But then it was like, okay, well, she's good, everything like that. Now it's kind of time to focus on me. And I remember looking in the mirror and I was like, how on earth am I going to get to where I need to be? You know? And we all have those thoughts and those moments and those days. I remember it being weeks and weeks and weeks postpartum. And I was like, okay, I've been dieting, I've been doing cardio, I've been training. I'm only seeing a little bit of change. What's going on
Yeah.
here? And
Yeah.
I'm trying to, place blame on the baby or being over 30 now. It was just time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And anything worth having is going to take work in time.
Beautiful. Anything worth having is going to take work and time. I love it. And then, the way you talk, like I said, it's just you explain it so well and it's so relevant. And that's the relevancy that I find so endearing about you, and makes me feel like warm and fuzzy that I wanted to work with you. It's amazing. It's beautiful. I know it's 12 o'clock. I know some of you may have to leave or not. This will be recorded, so we will send you the recording, even with some questions that you guys may have. But before we go into some of the final closing statements, I wanted to give Hope the opportunity to share an exciting offer with all of you. So Hope, do you want to take this away, and then we'll just allow the group ask some follow-up questions?
Absolutely. So a lot of you who are on right now are already with me, which I'm very, very fortunate that you guys have chosen me to work with as far as your coaching goes. But if you guys have any friends or family, what I'm going to do is, because of this webinar that me and Lenka have put together, for the rest of this week, I would like to extend the offer of $20 off any of our programs. So these can be competitive programs or lifestyle programs. All you need to do is email me at the email that is here, and in the subject line, just put webinar promo, so that way I know where you found out about this from. But I would really like to extend this offer to anybody, especially for anybody who's possibly watching on YouTube afterwards or anything like that, because I'm so thankful to be able to share my story, to share my struggles. Lenka has opened up an amazing platform for me and for us together to be able to do this. And as my way of saying thank you and giving back, I would like to extend this offer. So anybody can reach out to me at any point in time this week. Obviously, email is best. If you know you want to slide into my DM, that's fine too. If that's a little bit easier, whatever it takes to kind of help get you started, because taking care of your health and fitness should always be something that is a
Yeah.
priority. It doesn't mean that, you have to take it to the extreme that I do and compete, but taking care of yourself and bettering yourself is really going to help you better yourself in so many other aspects of life. And anything that I can do to help you as an individual get there, I'm all for.
Beautiful. And absolutely, your body is a temple, and you only have one, right? And we all need to take care of it. And whether it's the physical part of it, there's also that mental. And I have construction going on. I'm sorry about the noise. There's that, mental part, and also your body. It all works together. And if this doesn't work well, then the rest of it was just not going to function really well. And so, like I said, there's going to be some additional information for all of you guys. But before we get into, before we say goodbye to everyone, I really wanted to thank you, Hope, for sharing your story and allowing us to kind of take a little bit of a inside look into what was going on with you those 8 years ago, 12 years ago, and how you ended up being the person you are today. And I'm very grateful that you spend this valuable time with all of us. Oh my gosh. Hi, Princess.
Say hola.
Hi. Hi,
This is
Princess.
my main work buddy, our main employee, our only employee right now.
Oh my gosh. Look
She's
at
one and
this.
already has a job.
Oh,
Like I said, she goes to where when I'm working, she's working too. Right?
yeah, no, absolutely. You're inspiring. Thank
Thank you.
you.
So thank
All
you,
right,
ladies.
guys.
Thank
Thank you
you,
so
everybody,
much.
for
Stay
joining.
tuned. We'll have more. Thank you, Hope, very much.
Of course. Thank you,
All right,
everybody.
guys. Have a great one. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.